Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to our Viking Let's Build series. Today we're going to be making a house, which is kind of funny because we don't actually have a single house in this little town yet, which is kind of sad because, I mean, if you have a big giant town, especially with this many buildings, you definitely need some living space. I mean, the only stuff we have right now is the inn, and then I guess if you count some of the little bedrooms and some of these stores, but yeah, that is really pretty much it. So we're going to be trying to build this little sort of simple house, so it shouldn't take too long to build, but in the end it still should look kind of complex and kind of interesting and a bit different from the normal house that you might see just walking around Minecraft every day. So let us go ahead and start this thing. So this little section that you see right here is going to be a balcony. If you want to, you could change it up and make it like some of my other houses in the past where they don't really have too much stuff and the roof is a bit more simple. But if you want to follow along with the balcony and all that, just go ahead. So we're going to start right here on the left, and we'll just go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Then skip 3 to the right. Do 1, 2, 3, 4. Then skip a gap of 3 once more and raise that up 4 tall. Then we're going to go back, skipping only a gap of 2, and then raise this pillar up the same height as all the others. Then we'll do that same thing. So skip gap of 2, raise these up. Then we can skip on the back 2 gaps of 3, so it matches the very front of our build. So we'll do this, and then this side is going to be 1 gap of 3, and then 1 gap of 1, separated by this pillar that will be 4 tall. Now to finish this off really quick, we're going to do a cross beam connecting every single one of these pillars, going around the outside. And then after this we can start filling in the walls, and for that you're going to need some spruce wood planks and then cobblestone. So what we're going to do is, while we're at it, we'll grab our cobblestone, fill just 1 layer all the way around the bottom, no need to go higher than 1 block. And so we'll do this all the way around. And then after this, we can just switch over to our spruce wood and fill that in as our walls. Although, one more thing that I would like to try for this is giving it a little sticky-outy bit for the doorway. So we're going to kind of skip 1 right here and then skip 1 on the other side. And then it'll be 2 pillars, 4 tall each. And then those will separate a gap of 3 right in the middle. Then we can connect these 2 and the front. And since we've done that, we can go ahead and delete all of this and then these 3 blocks right down there. And then for the rest of it, we'll just fill in a cobblestone block there, 1 on the right, and then we'll do 2 on either side, leaving a space for a doorway right in the middle. And now we can go ahead and switch over to our spruce wood planks and start filling in for most of the walls. So on the front, of course, we're going to have the door right here, so we'll do a little archway like this. So 2 tall on either side, and then that 1 block on the very top. And then for each one of the 1 wide gaps, we're going to fill those all the way in. But wherever you have a 3 wide gap, you can go ahead and place a window right there. So for instance, on this one, we've got 3 blocks wide, so we'll place a window. And now on these, once again, 1 wide gap, so we'll fill that in. Then here we have a 3 wide, so we'll make a window right there. On the back, I believe, yep, we have 2 3 wide gaps, so we'll do 2 sets of windows. When we're done with this, I probably would end up putting a chimney, at least on this side, or maybe this one. Since this is smaller and the balcony's on this side of the house, I'm thinking I'll probably end up doing the chimney on the left, most likely. But for now, we can go ahead and place in a window. And then on this place, where we have 2 gaps of 2, we're going to separate it out by placing these 2 things on the left side and the right side, so we get 2 windows in the middle separated by the spruce wood logs. And then that should be it for our spruce wood planks for a while. So our next step is going to be to raise another 4 tall pillar on either side of the ones that we previously placed in the very beginning. So we can just fly around doing this all the way across the build. And then if you guys are wondering what these blocks are, I was thinking we might as well mix things up and place a little deck, or I guess lower balcony, if you want to call it that, on the sort of ground level. So we're going to do that. You don't have to. Once again, it's one of those optional things, but if you do decide to do it, it'll definitely make your build look quite a bit better. And hopefully in the end, it should turn out looking pretty cool and just kind of give our build a more unique look, apart from all the other houses in this little village. So as we were doing before, just keep on chugging along and filling out all these extra pillars. And then on top of these, what we're going to do is find each one of our previous ones, and we'll raise it up 1 block. So just make sure and don't do the ones that we just placed on, but just fill it on the very first pillars we did. So we'll do this. I think it's a total of, let's see. Oops. Let's see. How many do we have? Just to make sure. We got 2 on the front, and then 2 behind that, and then I believe it is 6 more. So we'll have a total of 10 of those. So if you go any higher or any lower, just know that you did something wrong. Hopefully that helps. So our next step is going to be just to raise these out 2 each. Just like this, all the way around. And then after this, we'll be connecting these with a cross beam right on the middle. In case you want to do those right now, I'll just show you. So you're going to find the middle block and just drag this all the way across. but I usually like to save it for the end just to save time. I think kind of switching around and moving your position just kind of takes more time than if you would have just done one thing at a time. So we'll fill all these in with the crossbeam. And then the only tricky thing about this is when we get to the corners, but I will make sure and show you guys the right way to do those to make it pretty easy on yourself. So here we arrive at the corner. What I like to do is just take whatever material I used for the very base of the build, or you could even use whatever you used for the wall. So since this time we used cobblestone, we're going to get a cobblestone half slab, place it on that corner block, and then grab a spruce wood log, place it facing up, and then we'll just do 2 right to the side of that. And then that should be all of the cross beams we need. Now to mix things up just a little bit more and add quite a bit more detail to the build, we're going to give us some support by using these cobblestone stairs, and then we're also going to make some detailed pillars using fences and cobblestone walls. So go ahead and grab all of those materials while we're at it. So for the little support things, we're going to place 2 stairs on the bottom wherever we have a 3 wide gap on either side, like this. And on the 1 wide gaps, I usually like to leave those open, but if you want to, you can place one in. But I am going to leave it out for my build. And then let's see, if we go to the back, let's go ahead and place 2 more in right here and on this side as well. Now if you have grass like this sort of coming up across the build, you can just go ahead and leave that open if you'd like to. So let's see, that's a 1 wide gap, so I will leave that blank. And what else should we do? Let's go ahead and start our little pillars. So for the pillars, it's going to be a cobblestone wall on the bottom and then one on the very top. Which, what the hell? This doesn't seem right. Oh, okay, I see. So before we even do these, we're going to take our cobblestone stairs once again and place them right underneath the spruce wood logs that are kind of poking out at the very top. And then that should make it so our pillars connect a lot better. So let's go around placing all of these in, and then we'll switch to our pillars. So once again, it's going to be cobblestone wall on the bottom, cobblestone wall on the top, and then a fence in the middle. And as I was kind of saying before with like speeding up your build speed, I'm just going to do the cobblestone walls to start out with. That way I don't have to waste time switching through the blocks. And you know what? Just to make it so people can actually walk on the deck, let's leave these out wherever we have that. So for this side, we will go without them, and then same thing for the front right here. And I think that'll make this a whole lot better in the end. In fact, we could even remove this pillar just so we can have a sort of way to get down right here. I think that would be cool. And then what else? This door is actually going to end up being this window is actually going to end up being a doorway in the end, I think, which could become quite cool, although it might be a bit unnecessary. So since that is the case, let's just fill it in for now. And then as you see right under here, this looks a bit odd. So what we're going to do is just fill it in with a cobblestone stair right underneath. And since that kind of makes this thing look weird, we could even remove that and then maybe just spin this little log around. I think that might not look too bad. Yeah, pretty cool in my opinion. So let's see, did we fill in all of the pillars that we needed? Nope. So we still need to do some on the back side, so let's fill those in really fast. And then after this, we can move on to detailing the walls even further. So let's see, this we can just switch up to one of these. And there we go. So we'll just keep filling these in, and then I think that should be all of them. Now we can switch over to our windows. And for this build, I like to use the white stained glass. If you are using the Conquest texture pack, excuse me, those usually do look the best. But as I've said quite a few times in the past, if you are in the default texture pack, I would stay with the regular, just clear windows. In my opinion, those definitely look the best in that. So let's fill these in, and then we'll do the final step for the first floor. And if you're wondering why we're doing so much on the first floor, it's because that's what most people are going to be sort of by and looking at. So I like to make that sort of the most detailed part of the build. So for that little last bit of detail that I was talking about, all you're going to do is a row of fences underneath the crossbeam, and then we're going to switch it up and place in a row of spruce wood half slabs beneath the fences. So we'll do all of those. And just like I was saying before, just to speed things up, we're going to do one thing at a time. So we'll fly around, placing all these fences in really quickly. And I guess we can leave them out of the corners. That usually does look a little bit better, just so the build isn't too square. So we'll fly around here, and then once you're done placing in all the fences, you can switch over to your spruce wood half slabs and then fill all those in, which we will start doing right now. So let's fly around here, placing these in really quickly, and then we also cannot forget to place in that door. That would be quite weird. In fact, whoever's living in this house might get pretty cold if we leave that thing out. So let's place all these in. I think this might be the last wall we need. Yep, we are done with those, so we can just toss them. I don't really think we'll be needing them anytime soon, except for this little last block you see on the roof. So if we do end up placing one of those in on this build, that's really the only time you're going to need another spruce wood half slab again. So let's see, should we do the deck first, or should we move on to the second floor? I kind of want to do the deck, just because we haven't really done many of these, and I'm quite curious to see how this turns out. So just, oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you guys how to do that part. In fact, I don't even know how I did it. Let's see. So if you go to the pillar on the far left of the build, so just for reference purposes, the door is on this side, so the left will be over here, and then we'll place in a spruce wood log popping up like that. And then as you can see right here, that's going to be 1 block away from the main house. And then we're going to skip 2 to the right, place this in, then skip 2 to the right once again, place that, and then we'll skip 1 last gap of 2. So in total, you're going to have 3 gaps of 2 on this side. And then for the front, we're going to skip 1 more gap of 2, then skip 1, and that should leave you something that's looking quite nice, just like this. And then so for filling in most of this, I'm thinking we should probably do something like this. So we'll take, or in fact, let's switch over to, I was going to use spruce wood, but I'm thinking maybe we should use some oak wood slabs. That might look a little better. And then we'll try something, unless we've used a deck before. If we have, I'd like to keep it sort of the same, but it doesn't look like we have. Okay, so we'll stick with the oak wood half slabs. We'll place 1 right here on ground level as sort of a stair. And then let's see, where else can we do one? I think it might look sort of cool to have one right here as well. Where else? And then definitely one on the back side. But other than that, let's keep it the same level as the top half of these spruce wood logs, and just go around the build filling them in like this. And then behind those, we can do them the same level, just like this. And then after we're done with these, we can start filling in some fences and maybe just make this look a little bit better and clean up some of the areas where maybe we could improve on a little. So let's see, what areas should we do? I'm thinking, you know what we could do? Let's remove that completely. We'll move this log right here, delete that. So instead you're gonna have a gap of 2 right here, and then this one can just be removed for good. So we can add in some more fences. Oops, if I can place these damn blocks. There we go. So it'll be a little 2 wide staircase right here. And then on top of all these little oak wood blocks, what we're gonna do is grab a stone slab and just place one of those on top of all the spruce wood logs popping up. And then now we can switch over to our fences, just fill them in on all the 2 wide gaps. And then right here, we're gonna have a 3 wide gap. So let's fill them in there. And then I think that looks quite good. I apologize if you can hear my dog howling in the background. Sorry about that. So let's see, now we can switch over to our doors, wherever they are, and we'll fill this in really quickly. In fact, let's place a little block for the floor right now. So let's grab oak wood, place that, and then the door, and there we go. So now we can start moving on to the second floor. So for this, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that should be good. Now we're gonna go forward 1, right 1, raise this up, and then we'll go back, skipping a gap of 1, raise that up. So pretty much wherever you have a pillar, we're gonna raise that up 4 tall ones again. So this is gonna be 2 gaps of 3, like this, or excuse me, 2 gaps of 2, like that, and then we'll do this thing. So we'll go forward 1, right 1, so it creates kind of this diagonal look. And then we'll skip 3 to the right of that, raise these up, skip 3 again, raise that up, then we'll make this corner 1 last time, then skip 3, raise this up, and then make our last, at least I think this might be the last corner. Nope, I gotta stop saying that. So let's raise this up, and then this one should be the last one we need. There we go. And then if we go back, let's see, 1, 2, 3, like this. Is that where we need it? I think it'll be like here. I'm just messing around really quick. No need to follow along these. I'm just trying to see where we need to place this. I think that might be our best option. So if you guys are wondering, if you find this pillar right here, which is the one right above the doorway, let me just show you guys. So the door is right there. If you find this pillar, then go back 2 blocks. So we'll skip a gap of 2 like that. Then we'll go out 1 more. So it's 3 blocks out. Then we'll raise this one up so it kind of matches up with these. And you'll see how this connects once we place in our crossbeam like this. So it lines up just perfectly. And then while we're at it, placing the crossbeams, let's go ahead and do that for the rest of them really quickly. And then we'll also need to place some little sticky-outy bits on the corners. That'll make the build look a little bit better. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, that's just going to be placing one right there, facing that way, one right here, facing this way, and then also two facing outwards towards the front, like that. And then what else can we do? I'd like to place one here and one there, one more this side. Pretty much wherever you have a pillar, you're going to want to place a little sticky out of it, popping out from it. Usually you're going to place two of them sticking out, unless it's like a flat wall like this. And then let's see, where else can we do this? So let's see. So that should be all the little sticky outy bits we need for now. And I guess I'll just fill in the floor really quick, and I will see you guys when that is done. But just for, if you're wondering where you want to put the floor, it's going to be right above all these little cross beams. So you'll start here, and if you'd like to, you can delete all these little spruce wood logs sticking up, because those usually do tend to look a bit nasty on the floor. So let's just fill in all the spruce wood planks, and I will see you guys when this is complete. Alright, so the floor did finally get filled in. I noticed this thing sticking up right here, so what I'm going to do is just switch that so it's facing that way, just so we get a bit of a cleaner look to our build. And then now we're going to start filling in most of our walls. So for that, we're going to grab ourselves some spruce wood planks, and we're just going to fill in sort of a row all the way across the bottom of the build just to give ourselves some guidelines. And when you fill this in, it's not actually going to be on the outside above the spruce wood logs, but instead it's going to be right above all the oak wood planks. So it gives our build sort of a more 3D effect and makes it a whole lot less flat, which is really good. So let's fill all these in, and then we can go ahead and raise each one of them up 2 blocks like this. And then after we've placed them all in, we can start breaking out our windows from the outside. I never have done this before. I'm just going to try it out. I think it might be a bit more effective than trying to kind of show you guys how to place in the windows from the inside. So hopefully it does end up working a little bit better. So yeah, as I was saying, just keep filling in the rest of this, just raising these up 2 more. So in total, they'll be 3 blocks tall. And then now, since we've finished that, in fact, let's do one thing really quickly. What I'm going to do is just fill in a row of these oak wood planks all the way across the outside, just really fast. So we'll do this, and that should make it easier to place in our roof and all that. And then I've been noticing I don't really like this corner too much. So I'm going to fill in that just so this room is a little bit more square. And then as I was saying, let's go ahead and fill in some of our windows from the outside. So I'm thinking we're going to place one here. And by the way, we are on the right side of the build right now. So we're going to do 2 windows in the middle on either side of our little spruce wood log pillar. And then for this back side where we have 2 sections of 3 gaps, or 3 wide gaps, I should say, we're going to fill in 2 windows in the middle of each of those. And then on this side, we'll do 1 more of those. And then for the deck area, I'm thinking we should probably place the door right here. I'm hoping that will look good, but we'll see. If it doesn't, we can always switch it around and put it somewhere on this wall. But I think maybe we could end up placing a cool little table right there and a chair just for someone, whoever's living here, to kind of have a nice peaceful meal or something. And I guess while we're out on the deck, what we could do is just place in some barriers with some fences, just like this. I think that might look quite cool. And what else could we do? You know what? I might try placing in a window right here. I don't think that would actually look too bad. Yeah, I quite like it. I think that's pretty cool. So what else should we be doing? Let's see. I believe... Here, let's fill in the rest of the windows while we have our glass in the hands of our little Minecraft man. Oh yeah! Speaking of our little Minecraft man, someone was asking me if they could see my Minecraft skin, so I apologize, I forgot who you were off the top of my head. But let's see. Yeah, here he is. I warned you, you probably don't want to see him. But this is him. I think I've had this skin for at least a year, if not more. So yeah, he's pretty freaky. I just typed in like naked old man, I think, or naked fat guy in Planet Minecraft, and this is what it came up with. So yeah. And I've been sticking with him ever since. He's really grown on me. So let's see, where were we? We placed in all the windows. Now we can just fill in some of these little detailed pillars. I guess they're not really detailed, they're just fences, but I think they do look, or make the build look a whole lot better and sort of more strengthened and sturdy. So let's just fill all these in all the way across, and then after this we should be able to move on to our roofing, which will be the most tricky part of the build, but it tends to, once you're finished, it really stands out and kind of gives you a sense of accomplishment, I guess. But before we do that, let's grab some more of these stone stairs, or cobblestone stairs if you want to call them that, and just fill in 2 on either side wherever we have a 3 wide gap. And then I'll show you what to do also if you have a 2 wide gap like this. So wherever you have these, we're going to place 2 on the outside blocks. Or if you'd like to, and you think this looks better, you can do 2 on the inside blocks. Like that. But personally, I'd like to place them on the outside, so I'm going to stick with that. And then wherever you have a 1 wide gap like this, usually I just leave those open. And then so let's see, 1 more 3 wide gap, so we'll place these stairs in. And then one last thing that we got to do is place in 2 little sticky outy bits facing inwards towards the window wherever we have a gap. And then under the 1 wide gaps, we'll just fill that in like this. And then here we'll do something like that. And then back to the 3 wide gaps, so we'll do 1 on either side. Same thing right here. And then let's see. Hopefully this is the last wall. Let's see. I think that should be. Right here, I would definitely not recommend placing them in, just so we have as much space as possible on this little balcony. Oh wow, this is actually a really nice view. Damn, this is cool. That's a nice screenshot. I'll probably take one later. So let's see. Where were we? We placed in all the fences we needed, I believe. And I feel like there's something I'm missing. We placed all these little sticky outy bits as well. Something's throwing me off. You know what? Let's just move on to the roof, because I think we got everything. I'm just losing my mind. So for the roof, let's go ahead and start off on the front of the build. And we're just going to make a small triangle shape like this. And try to leave all the extra blocks like this, so it's like a checkered design. I find that usually tends to look the best. So we'll do something like that. And then if we go all the way across to the back, we'll place another little triangle shape right here. Just sort of mirroring the run on the front. And then where else can we do one? We can do one here on sort of the, I guess this is the left side of the build. So we'll place one here. And once again, same exact design. Just so the roofs all connect properly. And then I would also like to place one on this side, I think. That could look good. Just to have as much detail as possible. Now, where we should place this thing, I'm not so sure. Because this is a 2 wide gap, so maybe we'll have to do one right here. So 1 block to the right of this little sticky outy bit, and then on this side it'll be 1 block to the left of that one. So we'll just do one little triangle shape like this. Now this should really mix up our roof quite a bit. It's going to be a lot more tricky, so if you don't want to do it and you just want to have this side be completely flat, you can definitely do that. But if you want to follow along and just make the roof a bit more complex and detailed, you can definitely try this way. So one thing I like to do before I place in all the thatch or hay to fill in the roof is placing in these little cross beams. Because when you place in the hay, it tends to be really tricky on getting them to face the right direction. Usually they always face the way you don't want them to. But by placing these in, you can really get a nice little, what would you call it? Guideline, I guess, on where you can place them. And it just really helps with putting them in the right direction. So this is what I always do. But yeah, back to this, so let's just keep connecting all these little cross beams or roofs together, like so. And it doesn't really matter how you place them in. You can do it as messy as you like, because you're not really going to end up seeing them from the inside unless you do place an attic. In that case, you can kind of just clean them up just a little bit. So here we go. Now our next step is going to be, before we even start placing in sort of the details on our roof, just so we can still kind of get to these, we're going to switch over to our spruce wood planks and fill in all the gaps on the roof. If you want to, you can switch them into windows, and if you are curious on how to do that, all you do is delete that little block right there and place a window in. Although I'm going to go without it. So let's see where, okay, here it is. There we go. Then we'll fill the rest of that in with the spruce wood planks. Same thing on the back, and same thing on the right side of the build. Now we can fly back out and start with our roof design, which should be one of the coolest parts of this build, at least in my opinion. So all the blocks you're going to need are I think every single spruce wood block. So we'll do the full ones, the stairs, and the half slabs. Although you might only need one of those things, but we'll grab them just in case. And then we're also going to need the hay. I think I said that before, but just in case. Yeah, you're going to need some hay. So for this, all you're going to do is start right here. In fact, we'll start on the front just to make things easy on the left side of it. So we'll do 1 block there and then 1 more to the right, so it creates an overhang. And then we'll just start working our way up from there, like this. And then on the top, for our little Viking design, it's going to be an upside down stair. Then on top of that, a full block. Then on either side of that, it's going to be 2 upside down stairs. And then on top of those, it'll be 2 upright stairs facing outwards. So it's going to look something like that. It'll turn out a bit better once we finish the rest of the roof, as you guys will see in a second. So we're just going to work our way back down on the other side and then fill the rest in with some upside down stairs just to kind of make the roof a little more thick and sturdy looking. So there you go. And there's many ways to make the design. So don't just settle with this thing. If you don't think this looks good and you've got a better design, definitely go for it. So let's just keep filling this in. And on this side, which will be the left of the build, we're going to once again create an overhang, and then from there we'll work our way up and then create our little Gothic design. Or actually, let's fill in some upside down stairs first. Now we can move on to our, did I say Gothic design? I meant Viking design. So there we go. Full block, then 2 upside down stairs on either side of that, then 2 upright stairs on top of those, and now we can go back down on the other side. So let's do this, then we'll put in some upside down stairs, get these things in, and we already did it on the other side, so now we can just move on to working our way to the left of the build. So let's do this. And oh, from here, this is where it can get a little tricky, and it's going to be the same thing over here when kind of connecting the flat spots of the roof with the triangle. So we're just going to start placing a block right there, and then what we're going to do is fly right underneath it, place an upside down stair, and then they should connect quite nicely. And then from this block we can just start working our way up to the top once again, and then on this block on the top we're going to do an upside down stair and then fill in some more upside down stairs as we work our way down, and now we can go back down on the other side until we get to right here. And then I think we might need to delete this block right there, so we'll settle with placing in a upside down stair right there, and then I think that might be all we have room to place for now. If you want to, you can just do a full block right there. I think that might end up looking the best. Although, you know what? Let's just do a block like this. We'll settle for that. And then right here it's going to be an upside down stair, and then we can just start working our way up. Oh my gosh, that is not right at all. Let's do something like this. Oops. Like that. There we go. That works. So forget everything I said about deleting this block. You're going to be able to keep it, so don't worry about that. And now, back to this roof. We're going to fill in some upside down stairs and then do our little Viking design. So full block, 2 upside down stairs on either side of that, and then 2 upright stairs on top of those. There we go. And now we can move on to this one, and then I think this actually should be our last little triangle shape we need to do. And after this, we can fill in some hay, and then we should be done with the exterior of this build. And then I'll just do a little can't even talk right now. I'll do a little flyby so you guys can see sort of how it turned out, and then we will be done. So let's fill in some upside down stairs really quickly, then we'll move on to our, man, I cannot think of the style we're doing. I was going to say Nordic, but no, it's the Viking style design. It's been forever since we've done this style, I think. The last build we did was the little lumber mill over here, which I'm still surprised on how well this thing turned out. I'm really glad I didn't just do this thing with the watermill. I'm quite proud that I placed in this little second build. Although it still didn't look too bad with just this little watermill log cutting section, but I think adding this in just really made it a lot more unique. Which I think same goes for adding in this balcony and the deck. I really think this is going to make it stand out from most of our other builds and just make it look a whole lot more different. And hopefully it'll be one of the builds that stands out in this little city, or village I should say. It's not quite big enough to be a city just yet. So let's see, we've done all of those. Now, all we have left to do is our hay and then placing in some little details on the roof. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 stairs going back right there, and then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. Actually, let's delete that one, so only 6 of them right there. And then for this spot, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then from here, we'll do 1, 2, 3. And then in all the blocks that we missed, we're going to do just 2 little half slabs like this. So there we go. And then for the rest of the build, we can just fill that in with some hay. So for the first layer, what I like to do is make them all face the same way, sort of like this. And then on all the corners, I just make them face straight up. So let's do all of those really quickly, I guess. So once again, corners, so we'll have 1, 2, 3, all facing straight up. Now, let's see, we also have 1, 2, 3 on this side, and then 1, 2, 3 right there. And then once again, on the bottom, we'll just make it all face the same way, just like this. And I guess we can just fill this in all the way around the build. Although usually I like to do one roof section at a time. But maybe we can mix it up for this one. So for right here, it's just going to stick out to the right. And I guess we can start with this one. So to fill it in, I usually like to make the blocks by the stairs face out towards them. Same thing for right here. And then every block in between, I usually just face towards me, like this. just to give it a nice mixed up effect. And then for right here, once again, the blocks next to the stairs will face towards the stairs. Same thing on this side. And then every block in the between sections, just make them face towards you. So we'll do this, and then we'll move on to the left side of the build. So once again, every single block next to the stair, face it towards the stair. Same thing on the left, and then everything in between, just face that towards you. And then I think, oh, we still got that roof section, and then we'll be done. So let's just fill all these in, and then we can move on. So there we go. Now for this side. So we'll face all these towards the stairs. Same thing over here on the right. And then everything in between, as I said many times before, we'll just face those towards us. And then there we go. So this is the build that we have created. Quite nice, I must say. I really like the deck. I'm not so sure that the balcony turned out as good as it could have. Maybe let's try to do something right here. Does that look any better? I think it does. There we go. Now it looks quite good. Anything else I need to add in? Oh yeah, the chimney. I did want to place one of those in for you guys. So where is that going to end up? Do we even have room for that thing? We do. So if you want to place a chimney, it can be quite simple or quite complex. If you want to do simple, which I'm going to show you that really quick, all it is we'll do a straight line of cobblestone going all the way up through the top. And I think it's going to cut in right here. Like that. And you know what? This roof piece right here, we're going to face that this way. I think that might turn out a little better. And for this, we're just going to do that there. We can delete these fences. Maybe that'll look a little better. Man, that chimney's just throwing us off like crazy. Oh gosh. Is this correct? I feel like it's not. What the heck is going on? You know what? We'll switch this. Keep it facing that way. Or should we not? You know what? Forget it. Keep it facing that way. I think this looks a little bit better. We will keep the fences in there. Not sure why I removed them. And then just to make this little chimney look a little more thick and less flat, we're going to raise this up to here, then switch over to a cobblestone stair, place that on top of this, and then we'll grab a cobblestone wall. Where might that be? Let's see. We'll grab the cobblestone wall, place this on the very top, and then if you're in default, you can grab some cobwebs, place these in, and which way is all our smoke facing? Sort of facing back this way. So we'll place all these in really quickly. And as you can see, most of these are actual smoke, which is really cool. If you want that, you're going to have to download, I think it's Optifine, World Edit, and the Conquest Texture Pack. Pretty sure that's all you need. In fact, you might not even need Optifine for those, but you might. Not quite sure. But all you do is you grab, if you do //wand, you do that, and then I'm not quite sure what the item ID is, but you just do //set if you click the block like that, and then do set, whatever it is. I think it's like 181 colon something. But there's all, you can go on the Conquest website and look it up. They got all the item IDs on there, which is pretty cool. Really helpful if you are playing single player. So let's see, that's the smoke. Let's see, I don't think this chimney turned out as good as it could have, so let's see what we can do to make it look a little better. I think we can remove these. There we go. That definitely cleans it up a bit. I think that should be all we need. But yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the build. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Also, if you have any suggestions for future builds or for the interior of this one, definitely let me know that down in the comments. So yeah, once again, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one.